Hello, peeps. It's the Hillbilly Halfwit today. How are you? Um, I'm having a bit of a problem with uploading with my phone, so for some reason, I can't upload with my phone outside to YouTube. I don't understand it, but anyway, I'm doing one tonight, and it's about the Caerphilly election again, and something I've been thinking about, and I can't find any data on it. So the other day, I asked ChatGPT if it knew about the postal votes, the amounts of postal votes in Caerphilly by-election, and there's no data available. So this is what I said. So I asked you the other day about the postal votes in the Welsh Caerphilly by-election. So are they published yet, or are they still hidden? So when I asked the other day, they said they are not they don't publish the postal votes. Well, that's really nuts, because under election law, they're supposed to be published, the amounts of them, because it could be the same amount as the Plaid Cymru won by, couldn't it? So here's what the reply was. I couldn't find any publicly published breakdown of postal votes. Sorry, there's always two, isn't there? For the Caerphilly by-election yet. Example, number of postal ballots issued, returned, or rejected. The official website only offers general guidance on postal voting. That's from caerphilly.gov.uk. So it says then, if you like, I can check the latest council reports, election pack for Caerphilly, and see if the detailed postal vote data has been released. So I go, yes, because under UK election law, this info should be open for the public to see. So here's a reply from ChatGPT, the supercomputer, unbiased. I couldn't find any publicly published breakdown yet of the postal voting data. Example, number of postal ballots issued, returned, and rejected for the Caerphilly, Wales by-election. So then I say, so is this info available for UK elections? If so, why is it not for Welsh elections? Because it could be a massive fraud, as it happens a lot with postal voting. So it's ChatGPT thought for 26 seconds. Short answer, yes. Some postal voting records are supposed to be kept and can be accessed, but what you cannot get is a list showing which candidate got what postal votes. Ballots are mixed after verification to protect secrecy. That makes simple postal votes equals fraud for X claims much harder to prove just from the published returns. That's from the Electoral Commission. What's actually publicly recorded? Returning officers must keep records around postal voting. Example, lists of postal votes rejected when handed in, postal voted statements, the handling, verification logs, and related paperwork. Those lists and rejection notices are part of the official paperwork Electoral Commission, that's from. After an election, returning officers send post-election data to the Electoral Commission, turnout, number of absent postal votes, etc., as part of post-election data collection. Local counts and overall turnout figures are normally published. Electoral Commission again. But the verification process mixes accepted postal votes with polling station ballots before counting. So you cannot identify how particular postal voters voted. That secrecy is intentional. That's why you'll see fact-checked debunking claims that X candidate got 90% of the postal votes. You can't tell that from the paperwork. So why does it feel hidden for Welsh by-election in Caerphilly? In practice, it depends on what the local returning officer publishes. Some council proactively publish detailed return pack information numbers, issued, returned, rejected, and the lists of names of rejected postal voters. Others only publish the headline turnout and the results and leave the rest for the electoral home office records. The law requires records to be kept and some lists to be produced, but it does not force every council to post every spreadsheet online automatically. If the information you want, the exact numbers of postal packs issued, returned, rejected, the marked register of postal voters list of postal votes rejected isn't posted on the council site. You can usually obtain it by contacting the council's electoral services and, if necessary, by freedom of information request. Local councils regularly publish freedom of information response about electoral data. That's rushcliffe.gov.uk. Important practice point about fraud. Postal voting has had problems and is a subject of reform debate. Administrators have called for changes because volumes have grown, but raw postal vote counts alone do not show who benefited. You need far stronger evidence that a high postal turnout in an area proved targeted fraud. Electoral safeguards, verification checks, record keeping, limits on handling in others, packs exist precisely to reduce this risk. That's the Guardian. If you want the next steps, I can do for you. Pick one. I can check Caerphilly's election pages and returning officers published paperwork right now and tell you exactly what's been posted, numbers issued, returned, rejected list, marked register availability. Or I can draft the exact freedom of information email wording you need to request the postal voter documents from Caerphilly Electoral Services. So, and which documents to ask for so they can dodge it. So I say, yes, check that. Plus, if the amount is close to 2,500, they could have swung the election. I wasn't able to locate publicly available breakdown of the postal voting numbers issued, returned, or rejected for the Caerphilly by-election on the council or electoral services website in the time I checked. It's wrong, isn't it? This is wrong. Because you could have a huge fraud year and it could have turned the election. If you like, I can help you draft a formal Freedom of Information email request to the Council Electoral Services to obtain the number of postal votes packed issued for the by-election, the number of postal ballots returned and accepted, the number of postal ballots rejected and short reasons thereof, the marked register of postal voters or list of those who voted by post. You can then access whether the figure is close to 2,500, which indeed could be significant given the majority margin. So then I say, I find this astonishing that this info is being kept secret from the public. It's against election law. ChatGPT supercomputer replies, you're absolutely right that transparency is the core of UK election law, and you're not mistaken that it looks opaque in practice. Here's how it actually works and why it feels like secrecy, even though some of it is technically available. What the law says. Under the Representation of the People Regulations 2001 and the Electoral Administration Act 2006, local returning officers must keep postal voting records, including number of postal vote packs issued, number returned, number rejected with reasons, the marked register or postal voters who voted by post, not who they voted for. These documents are publicly inspectable but not automatically published online. Access is limited to viewing by appointment, and copies can only be supplied if you are a registered elector or candidate agent to prevent misuse. So why isn't this online? Because UK election law predates digital publishing norms. Councils meet the letter of the law by storing the data and allowing inspection, but they rarely upload it. Wales follows the same UK framework, but with devolved administration, so some Welsh councils like Caerphilly interpret it available for inspection, as you can come and view it in person. Why it matters? You're correct that postal voters can swing results, especially when margins are a few thousand, like Caerphilly's 3,800 vote Plaid majority. If, say, 2,500 postal votes came in, they could absolutely make the difference. But without the figures, no one outside the election office can check the scale, and the lack of transparency feeds suspicion, even if nothing illegal occurred. See, I think this is very odd. This is very odd. So what can you do? You can have a legal right to a request. You have the legal right to request the total number of postal ballot packs issued, returned, accepted, and rejected for the 2025, oh god, hiccups, Caerphilly Senedd by-election. I tried that email and it didn't work. So what they did here is they basically did a freedom of information request there, if you see it. So subject, request for postal voting data, Caerphilly Senedd by-election. Dear Electoral Services Returning Officer, under the Representation of the People Regulation 2001 as amended and the Freedom of Information Act 2000, I am formally requesting access to postal voting data relating to the Caerphilly Senedd by-election held in 2025. In the interest of electoral transparency and public confidence, please provide the following: total number of postal ballot packs issued for the by-election, total number of postal ballot packs returned before the close of poll, 3, number of postal ballot papers rejected during verification, including a breakdown of the reason for rejection, mismatched signature, missing date of birth act, 4, number of postal votes included in the final count, 5, confirmation of the total electorate and turnout figures, including postal and in-person votes. If this data has already been submitted to the Electoral Commission, please provide a copy of the submission or direct link to the public dataset. The request is made under Regulation 61 and 112 of the Representation of the People Regulations 2001, which provide for the inspection of election documents, and Section 1 of the Freedom of Information Act 2000, which guarantees public access to recorded information held by public authorities. As per the Act, please provide the information in an electronic format such as PDF, Excel, or email text within the statutory 20 working days. Thanks for your assistance, blah de blah. Anyway, I have sent that to this address. There, at the bottom, electoral services at caerphilly.gov.uk. So I've sent that to it. So I've done a Freedom of Information request for the data. But you can phone there if you want, in the middle, if you see. I tried that email, but it wouldn't work. But their phone number should do. So you can, if you're living in that area, you can ask them to see that, to see if all these postal votes are coming in and they're all for Plaid Cymru, there's something wrong there, isn't there? I think somebody should go in there and check these and have a really good old check, because I don't trust them a bit. I don't believe this was I believe this was a close finish, and I happen to believe that something happened here. But there we are. So please hype, click and share and subscribe if you don't mind to this video, and hopefully I should get a return email off this lot for my Freedom of Information request, and I suggest all of you lot do the same Freedom of Information request. So you can do it to this address here, that address there, electoral services at caerphilly.gov.uk. Or if you want to phone them, phone that number there, 01443 866 586. So here we are, all the best, guys.